first time we saw the little duck family was in March when we took a walk at the pond. I first saw a little duckling in real life for the first time. Then we saw about 11 or 12 more little ducklings. They were small, really cute, furry, yellow and brown stripes on their back, and they would hop on the lily pads. Even though they could swim, they probably got tired, and just staying still on the water may be fatiguing. If they ever got close to us, the mom duck would quack and they would go back to the pond. She had built some little straw huts for the ducklings among the bulrush bushes. I found out that these ducks are called mallard ducks after some research. They are identified by the green heads on the males and the purple, blue, and green feathers on the females. As we visited them daily, their numbers dwindled gradually. Eventually, there were only 3 ducklings left. I felt bad for the ones that didn't make it, but this is common as the infant mortality rate is high, so at least 3/4 of each brood would die. Once my dad went to the pond at dusk. The 3 ducklings were playing while the mother duck and father duck were relaxing in the pond. The mother duck was still highly vigilant. As she saw my dad, she called them back into the pond, and they listened because they had seen what happened to the siblings that didn't. The father duck was mostly relaxed and would simply look on as the mother cared for the ducklings. He flew away after some time. Inevitably, there were only 2 ducklings left. As they grew bigger and faster, they had less yellow down and their feather coverage grew more complete progressively. When the ducklings were 4 months old, the mama duck were away more and more, so they were increasingly on their own. She was last seen with her babies when they were 5 months old. Since the mama duck has flown away, the bigger duck will take a walk with us. She would try to find little bugs in the mud and go on exploration of their surroundings by trailing us. She also found a kind of berries called bearberries. She didn't eat the bearberries, but she found a little dead bird laying on the ground and started to pick up the little dead bird and throw it around and tear it to little pieces. The little dead bird wasn't a duckling because it didn't have down like what ducklings are born with. She was curious about the water guns and seemed to enjoy it and kept coming back for more. The next few weeks, she started to go to places like the cliff or the dark trails in the woods around the pond. One day, when we were on the swings, she walked to us from the pond and she climbed up the stairs and tennis court. She found bearberries that tasted better than the ones near the pond. Then she flew up to the beautiful little grass field beside our pavilion. She sat with me on the grass for a while, enjoying the summer sun, almost falling asleep. When we had to go home, she seemed to know it, and walked home to the pond by herself. We went to see her some more times, and she would come up to the other side of the cliff or pavilion. One day, our landscaper cut down all the weed at both the stream and the pond, which had served as their habitat since birth. When we visited the pond, the shyer and smaller sister immediately swam to us and followed us around wherever we went, possibly traumatized from the sudden change to her home and being left all alone. She walked beside us like a puppy, probably enjoying this security we provide. We were going home and she seemed to be willing to follow us home, probably feeling safe with the ones she had known since birth, but we thought it would be best for her to stay in the wild, so we led her back to the pond. On the way we met some neighbors, and she seemed very wary of the kids and stayed away from them. When we reached the pond, she was hesitant but eventually went back to her almost unrecognizable home. The next day we went back to the pond and brought some grain from the bread and blueberries with us. She showed no interest in the grain, but when she ate the blueberries, she didn't eat many of the other foods other than a little bit of wild berries. Her diet seemed to consist of bearberries, blackberries, moths, and dragonflies, likely some small fish at the pond too. She ignored the greens like lettuce and broccoli and spit out the grains after trying them out. We think blueberries are the duck's favorite food because they are squishy, juicy, and they are easy to swallow. I looked up the internet, and blueberries are crucial for the growth of the wings because they are full of vitamin and manganese. I touched her bill a few times, and the inside felt a little bit rough and toothy, while the outside felt very smooth.
Tasty blueberries. Yeah. Does it hurt? Her beak is pretty hard, right?
We kept visiting her, feeding her blueberries and letting her walk with us every day. Sometimes she led us down the dark path in the woods so she could explore with safety. She enjoyed climbing up the staircases, but she had trouble jumping off, as she sometimes lost balance, and probably because landing on the rough gravel hurts her webbed feet. Sometimes, when she knew it was time for us to part ways, she would find high ground to think for a while and take off and fly back to the pond. She seemed increasingly confident with her flying ability. The last day we saw her, she was unusually hesitant to leave us. On the 6th day, she was nowhere to be found near the pond. Given the fact that her mom left both ducklings alone and her sibling had already taken off, we think she must have flown away to her adult life too. It's the best conclusion for her to stay here with us, to be finally able to answer nature's call. We miss the ducklings, but it seems a perfect ending to this long summer due to the 6-month lockdown.